Hello everyone, welcome back to Green Chat. We're going to take a closer look at an upcoming MMO, Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. My name is Cleeze, and let's get started. Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to Green Chat, where today we're going to do some talking about Pantheon. Green Chat's a place where you guys can ask me questions, and I can give you my opinion to hopefully formulate your own on Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, which is due to be released sometime in the next year or two or three. Nobody really knows, but we hope it's soon. We hope it's soon. It'll be soon. So before we get cracking, though, I wanted to apologize. Last episode, my sound was a little jacked. I was casting some other stuff. Spoiler? No, not really. Probably not. Not very spoilish at all. But I was doing some other recordings in different format, and I had lowered the gain on my mic, and I didn't realize it until afterwards. My test videos sounded fine, but after I did the production, yada, yada, yada. Basically, I was stuck in a position where I had to post it or not. I wasn't in a position to really change the sound issue. I did attempt to change it, but my software is amazing, so it was really cooperative in that sense. But just kidding, it's totally terrible. However, this week, hopefully it's better. I made sure to ensure my mic is boosted, so apologize for that. Muddy Feet had commented that he had some issues hearing. Thank you, Muddy Feet, for letting me know. I wasn't sure how it would, but yeah, there we go. Especially if you're listening on your phone. There's a little difference from on your computer to your phone. It's just the way the sound plays out on that little speaker or your headphones. I mean, headphones are obviously better. Anyway, let's crack into this. Today we have some comments from you guys. Also have some more points of interest to cover as far as Pantheon goes, and that's what we got on the agenda. So let's get into it. Let's do it. Let's go into it. So today we're kicking it off some comments from you guys. One thing interesting is I look back on my videos, and I always find it interesting whenever you throw yourself in front of a camera, your brain does this weird thing where you become like a fourth persona or this weirdo, and you're like, who is that guy? Who is he? And there's a lot of things that I feel like I should have said or didn't say, or I say again. So apologies if I do that. And I sometimes say things that make absolutely no sense. Anyways, with that said, let's get rolling. So first up, we have a comment from AO. AO is saying, I believe Brad and his team have learned from the mistakes of their development in the footage I have collectively seen. Pantheon seems to combine more of a group content of EverQuest with the variation of complexity of Vanguard Saga of Heroes. Rest in peace. Sticking to the root model of socialization is not only needed, but oftentimes required to complete enjoyment. Opening multiple avenues for progression is something that's just not in EverQuest. I'm not sure what he means by that, because I felt like there was, but so the adaptation is more than necessary. I guess what you might say is your character development is one-dimensional as far as you level up. In Vanguard and EQ1 had a child, or if Vanguard and EQ1 had a child, it would definitely be Pantheon. Kudos to Visionary for recognizing this. So I think I just wanted to throw this out there really quick because it's kind of cool or important to think. What he's commenting here is Brad and the team, they made those games, they screwed up here and there, or you know, some people don't think they did because they think those are the best games ever, and period. But interesting is that those games were under the reins of a production force, or a conglomerate like Sony, or these terrible production companies like Activision, or all these guys that really drive these companies usually with a whip, and they're like, get this game made, make me money, bam. Where this time Pantheon's more of in a free flow state. They're not really sharing too much about how they're being funded, but it doesn't seem very typical. I mean, it's obviously typical in the sense that it's going along the rails of what they would need to produce a game, and it's probably there's a lot of investors, sure, but I don't think the investors are pinning on Pantheon Rise of the Fallen as much so as other production companies would do, in the sense of Activision or any of those production companies that are investing and funding any type of game in production. So at least that's the way it seems when they detail any information to us, or how they're working on it, or how slow they want to go, or what they release to us. It seems really at their own will. Like, they decide what they release to us, they decide their pace, they decide all these things, versus somebody else deciding for them and them trying to meet these timetables or standards. So I think that's pretty neat. But anyway, Definitely, I didn't play Vanguard. I've looked some stuff up about it, but it definitely looks like I would agree that Pantheon might be the child of EQ1 and Vanguard. So yeah, if you guys got anything from that, basically they have more control over what they do. Rock and roll Pantheon, you guys are doing it, and they're gonna make a game that's gonna jam, just like peanut butter and jam, or jelly, whatever you like better. All right, that moment has finally come. We have finally gotten a comment from Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, I believe a damage meter, I can't do Arnold Schwarzenegger, which only shows your own damage could be nice, meaning you know what you're doing and can see improvements. And if you'd like to know someone else's, perhaps the same class, is doing damage, you can ask them, and that would spark a conversation, adding the social aspect of the game. So Arnold Schwarzenegger is saying basically, hey, let's have a damage meter in the game, just show yourself, and if you want to, you can share it with others, etc. So if they put that into a game, guaranteed somebody will be able to write some software that could capture everybody's thing, and a damage meter would get made. We're not going to spend that much time on damage meters because we can go on about damage meters probably forever. I personally like damage meters, so I've raid led and guild led a lot, and it's an amazing tool, especially in raid encounters or in encounters in general. Not so much to be like, hey, you're doing too little damage, man, you suck, but to really see if we're hitting those, you know, those points where, you know, on attempt 1, on attempt 30, on attempt 45, how long is it taking us to get through phase 5? How much damage are we putting out? What's the influences or what's the differences there? If you're looking at it like that. Because let's be honest, damage meter, this is not be honest, but let's be, why does damage meters suck? This is why damage meters suck. In a high level raiding environment, every class is designed the way it is. Usually those guys are going to have some of the best gear, and they're going to be pushing their class to the max potential. That's the maximum raiding environment. So, you know, the person that's the most buff class at that time is going to be doing the most damage and then stuff like that. So when in a top in guild, you're not one of the top DPSers, but you can do a lot of damage, sure, you're always going to be sitting like 5th, 4th, 10th, 20th, whatever, and it's much more of a practical tool in that sense. But then what tends to happen is those guys plug into other groups and they're like, bam, they explode people and they link the meters and stuff like that. Personally, in my guild, when I led raids and stuff like that, if you linked the damage meter, because it was a tool, it wasn't a bragging point, if you linked the damage meter in any chat and form possible, I wouldn't allow you to get loot on the next boss. So that's how, yes, damage meters can be very toxic, and I totally agree with that. I don't think they'll put it in as a tool in the game. I don't think they'll, I'm leaning towards, I don't think Pantheon's going to go towards the add-on route where they can let you make all your own little UI interface tools and then implement it in the game through a mod type system. But I would think that players are very innovative and they are good at making what they do. If they want a damage meter, they'll find a way to make one somehow. They always have. So that's just the nature of that. As reliable as they are or not is the issue usually when how easy they are to make. So yes, damage meters would be nice. I think a compromise to this would be kind of cool is if you went to like a training dummy or something in like a city and you started doing damage on it, you could get statistics of the type of damage you're doing to that training dummy. That would make sense because you're in a training environment versus like in some dungeon like having your face smashed in. I think that'd be a decent compromise if somebody wanted to improve themselves or at least time themselves out, like what's better, this dagger, that dagger, or this mace and this whatever dagger combination, whatever you're doing. At least have the tools at your disposal to test your class out, but not necessarily bring it into group play or in a social setting where you know, it could create a lot of problems. Granted, everybody usually figures out a way to make everything work out anyways. I mean, if you like damage meters, you'll usually gravitate towards this crowd. If you don't, you'll usually gravitate towards that crowd. So something interesting to think about and go forward. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on this. Personally, I like them. I understand that I'm the minority in this case, and the majority I think would not like them. So I wouldn't expect to see it in the base UI, but expect to see it in some form once or other, or some form or another in Pantheon, if I had to guess. Which that's it. So thank you, Arnold Schwarzenegger, for your comments and about your damage. Ugh, man, I can't do an Arnold voice to save my life. But let's keep going. All right, next up we have a comment from ArcSyn. ArcSyn's going on about how MMOs need a better leveling experience. The main story, unique side quests, beautiful landscaping, gathering and crafting, market, social aspects, minigames, etc. are mainly great or good in many MMORPGs, but if the combat feels clunky, static, repetitive, and not exciting at all when you're not max level, and the monsters who are your level are super weak like usual, or like they usually are, leveling up feels very boring task and not like a good adventure. It's nice to hear Pantheon is aiming to have harder content in terms of combat from the start of the game. So I will, I've been commenting this, I think on like the past 3 episodes it's come up, and I think I've refined my thoughts on this completely. So MMOs are really, really easy. I think that's not correct. I think the word, when we say MMOs are really easy, what we really mean to say is MMOs right now are super boring, okay? You can jump in and have a really exciting, it's like going to Great America or something, and if you don't grade it, it's like a theme park. It's like you're sitting there waiting in line all day long, and it's super boring, and you're like, ugh, and then you get to ride the ride for like 30 seconds or whatever, and you're like, oh my god, so cool. And that's it. That's what MMOs are right now. They're difficulty littered with complete boring nothing, stupidness. Granted, some of them have pretty challenging PvP and stuff like that, like it's very difficult. But again, that just also gets repetitive. I mean, it's fun, but it's not. Especially when you learn the systems and how to play them, it, in a sense, becomes easy. A lot of the people that are really good at PvP know how to work the system, and it's almost, you know, I would start leaning towards it just as boring. So, yep, thanks Arxin for the comment, and we'll try to put this one to rest for a while. I know it's been coming up a lot, guys. Apologies, but wanted to bring that up. I think games that are out right now, definitely hard. If you play those games, we're not saying they're easy. They're hard, but the majority of it, I think most people would agree, even the people that love those games that are out right now, that, you know, the current MMOs that are out right now, I think most people would agree that in between it is easy, and you know, they just like it because they like it, and that's fine. But I think a lot of us find those games really boring, super boring, and it would be nice to have this type of game on the market where it is not boring and engaging and exciting and dangerous. It's like living on the wild side in the jungle with no pants on. I don't know why you'd have no pants in the jungle. How about no shirt, and you have really terrible shoes in the jungle? All right, so that's the comments from you guys this week, and we're going to move on to some points of interest. I've been calling them. If you're new to Green Chat and you're like, what are points of interest, bro? Points of interest are forum posts. I've gone through all the forum posts that is on the general chat forum of PantheonMMO.com, and if posts got more than like 40 hits or 50 hits, I decided to call it a point of interest and bring it up here to share it with you guys, because some of them are super old and are currently relevant to the development of the game, and something important to know, I think, if you are interested in Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. So first up, we have a post from Ethor, and the topic is 4 servers per region by IP. Now, this one is a lot of technical mumbo jumbo, but basically what he's saying is he wants to force restrict logon limits for regional limitations based on your IP scheme and stuff like that. So if you're in the Midwest, or you're on the East Coast, West Coast, you can only log into those servers. Or if you're on a UK server, or excuse, I think they're only on whatever. If you're in the UK and you log in, or wherever you are, you have to go to specific servers. You can't go to whatever server you want based on where you are located in the world. Now, that's a terrible idea, because when they put that in, games have done this, and excuse me, I need like a comb or something, really. When you do stuff like that, you will have issues where you'll just completely be blocked to join any game server. It happens all the time because of your ISP and stuff like that. It has nothing to do with the customer. It's how the ISP functions. Whatever, so that's all a technical mumbo jumbo. Why I bring this up, though, I almost really passed over it, is what I thought was really cool. Now, multi-boxing has come up, and Pantheon's kind of touched on it, and multi-boxing is where you can have like 6 accounts running on your computer, and with that, you can get software to control each box, and so that means you have 6 accounts, and you can create your own party by yourself, and that completely goes against the whole point of a social aspect game, with somebody controlling every facet of one group, running around doing stuff. And some people would argue, hey, no big deal, if the guy wants to do that, let him do that. He's having a grand or he or she's having a grand old ball time playing with himself. Who wouldn't? But I think it's not cool, in my opinion. I've gone back and played older games where people have been boxing, and I find it really frustrating. Not frustrating, it's really kind of it's kind of like a bummer when you see a boxer go by, or you run up to a camp and you realize it's somebody boxing and you're like, hi, and you're speaking to nobody because they're not actively looking at that character, and you're like, hey, can I join your group? And then the group is super inefficient because this guy's trying to control 6 boxes or 5 boxes or 3, whatever. I find it annoying. So what I thought was pretty cool, and again, Pantheon or Visionary Realms has said that they will be looking at this, and they haven't really jumped on it too hard, because I know this community, there's a lot of people out there that like to box. Not specifically Pantheon's community, but in general, gamers, there's a lot of gamers out there that play MMOs that like to box. It's not specific to this type of genre. And what I thought was kind of cool, so it's going to be kind of up to us to drive what they decide to do with this. So that's why I'm bringing it up to you. One thing I thought was really neat is, again, I jumped into Project 1999. I had no idea they did this, and then my wife jumped in as well. And then I tried logging in after she had logged in, and it said something about your IP is restricted or something like that. I was like, that's super weird. Went to their site, and they put 1 IP per household, which is what that does to you is if she's logged in, I can't log in. If I'm logged in, she can't log in. And to unrestrict that, you need to go to their website and then put in a request for an IP exemption to allow 2 IPs from your house, or to allow your IP to have 2 instances on their server side, or sessions on their server side for your instance, to allow 2 computer accounts to be logged in the same household. Now, I don't know how much overhead is involved in that. I don't know how easy it is to hack that. Easily, you can get through that with VPNs and stuff like that. Super easy to get around. But in essence, I think that was really cool to force that, and it's really refreshing to jump in, especially Project 1999, and everybody is a person. There is no like multi-boxing craziness. You jump into a group of 5 people, and then there's 5 other people and you. And it just felt good. I don't know how to describe it. And then knowing that nobody's really boxing and everybody has to kind of get this journey on themselves, because especially in Pantheon, like EverQuest, and likely like it was in Vanguard, if you have 5 people doing the exact same action, it makes the game almost kind of broken. It makes it that much more easy versus because the game rewards you for grouping. So if one dude is simply controlling 5 characters going around auto attacking, it's probably going to be pretty successful at the low levels versus the challenge you would otherwise experience. And then it kind of gives a it kind of gives like a wishy-washy feeling when you're see that running by and you're like and then yeah, he's just stealing all your stuff. Depending on the classes they are, it could be really terrible and just eating up all the mobs, and you're like, oh, this is cool, this is really neat, dude. Thanks, brah. Thanks, brah. Thanks for your whatever. So something to think about. Right now, I'll keep you guys posted on what they're going to be doing with this. Right now, not much info, but I think the one comment is they're not opposed to boxers. If people want to buy more accounts, they're not going to limit that because there is a crowd for it. But at the same token, or at the same time, you could switch those words around, it might make more sense, but they are also thinking about potentially doing something about that. They're not sure. It's super early in development. I think maybe they're going to see how well this plays out. Now, they have said they're trying to make classes so unique, complicated, have a really strong identity to the point where the encounter is so specific or difficult that boxing won't be a thing. But you could always go to the, less challenging areas and box, and, it's still going to be just as, I would say it's still going to be just as an interesting problem, potentially for some people. Now, some people love the box. So, I don't know. It's a tough one. I'd rather leave the decision up to them, because I personally like boxing, and I know so many people do. And this channel here it's not my position to be like, you suck boxes. Because you guys deserve a place too, and especially if you're into Pantheon and you're really looking forward to box Pantheon, you'll probably be able to box it, to be honest with you, but it might be challenging in different other aspects. But just want to bring this up, and I thought it was cool or interesting thought, something to think about, something to mull over while you're cooking dinner or something like that, cooking dinner, mowing the lawn, stuff, Mull it over, man. Alright guys, and with that, we're going to end it there. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe to get any notification for future content that I upload. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again really soon.